Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Jesse Invests. My name is Jesse, and on this channel we do personal finance, investing, things like that. And today we're gonna dive into my net worth tracker so you guys can get an idea of where my net worth is at, what that means, what my financial goals are for 2025, see how we're doing, and create a plan for throughout the end of the year. So go ahead and hit that like button down below, that subscribe button, helps me out a lot. It shows your support, and yeah, grab a drink, take a seat. This will be exciting. My drink of choice is just a cup of ice water right now. Thought about having a beer or something like that, but it's too late at night, so I'm just gonna have a cup of water. We're gonna dive in and take a look at where we're at. Okay, so sitting here in front of me on the screen is my net worth tracker, which is something I've been using for a while, and it's really awesome. And you guys can use it too. There should be a link in my description where you can access my spreadsheets and start using them today. But so where we're at right now is we are at a negative net worth of $2,826.47. Now this does account my wife and myself's combined net worth. We have an assets of $12,344 and $15,000 in debt. Now, there's no perfect number. I want to give a little heads up about net worth. This is a number that I like to run for fun. It's not like I'm some celebrity with $5 million in net worth or some crap. This number doesn't mean a whole lot in practicality terms. Like, for someone else, they might have net worth of $80,000 and have the same lifestyle I do. They just happen to have gone to college, where my wife and I have not gone to college yet. So they have a bunch of student loans at a low rate of interest, things like that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not as well off as someone with break-even net worth, because they might have a college degree and be making money faster. So this isn't a tool of comparison. It's just a tool to kind of see where you're at, see if you liquidated everything you had, what would you have left? And in this case, I have $3,000 in debts more than I have assets. So if I sold everything I owned, I would get $12,000, but I would owe debtors $15K. So I'd end up with negative $3K. And after every dollar to my name was gone. So obviously a negative net worth isn't wonderful, but at my age, 24, it is very, very, very common. All right, now let's dive in. So negative 3K, we can see that last month in February, I was at negative 4.4K, and in January, negative 4.5. So we crawled up a little bit from January to February, and then we took a huge shot up in March, which is really awesome to see. It's really reassuring that I am headed towards the equilibrium, the break-even point of $0 net worth, and on the journey to building wealth. This was in part mainly because of a couple of things I did, and I'll dive into why I was able to make such a huge chunk in my debt. First, let's look at asset distribution. It looks like 83% of my assets are in investments. 8% is in my bank account, and then just 7% is in other investments. Liabilities, I have 11% in short-term debts, and then 88% of it is long-term debts. This right here is a cool thing to look at too, which is my assets versus liabilities. So you can see my assets is this green bar. It's a little underwater on the liabilities, but month by month, that gap is closing a little tighter until we'll have the green bar surpass the red liabilities bar. And let's see. Okay, so in January we had 12,000 in assets. Then we went up 2K to 14 in Feb, and then back down in March. But we're still up in March because we were able to pay down so much debt. So even though we don't have as much on-hand cash or money invested in March, we actually went down $2,000 in that sector. I was able to pay off $3,000 in debts, so we did end up in a better spot than last month. Now, some things that happened here, right? So we can see that I have a lot less cash on hand, with just 1,000 instead of 3,000 on hand. All my bank accounts are like at an all-time low here, just pennies to my name. And I even had to take a cut into my emergency fund. So it's no longer at $1,200, it's at $900. It's underneath that $1,000 emergency fund threshold that I like to have at bare minimum, because I needed it to pay off some debts. That's also why the cash in my bank account is so low. I had some debts sitting on my credit cards from the last month, maybe even 2 months, I believe, since around Christmas time, January. It's a busy time with the holidays and my birthday and my wife's birthday, day before mine. So we have a lot going on spending wise in those months. So we took a big hit on credit cards, and it was getting real close to interest possibly happening, and I've never had any interest on a credit card, so I didn't want that to happen. So right before interest started to accrue, I wanted to make sure at any cost, whether it be draining my emergency fund or not, that we paid those off. So that major pay down in debt, $3,000 less in debt, is because I paid $3,000 in credit card debt off at once. Okay, and then if we go to investments here, we can see that we jumped up almost $400 in investments, which is really cool to see. And that, like this note says, that's just because I've reached a point at my new job where I was able to finally get a 401k activated. My wife also reached a point where she can activate her 401k. So we went from 3 income sources for investments to 5 in the span of 1 month, which is really cool. So now I have my pre-tax 401k happening. My Roth IRA contributions are still staying steady. M1 taxable, the dividend account I make videos about, is still getting steady money in. My Bitcoin is going up a little bit here, and my wife has her 401k as well. So we'll start to see this really steamroll, which will really help with my net worth go up, our net worth go up. Properties and cars. I do have 1 car that I share with my wife. We have 1 vehicle, but I do not count it as an asset because it is not worth a whole lot. Once we sell completely paid off, then I will put the cash value of it into this line. But right now I'm not counting it because it is way more of a debt than it is an asset. Some people would argue I should put the value in here, but I am not. Okay, and then we go to other assets. These are things that I could sell for cash that aren't investments or cash. So things like jewelry, I don't have any jewelry, or gold or silver investments that I have offsite, because it is really hard to store those things. But I do have $900 in gold held in a vault for me, which is really cool because I like having a physical investment. Not just an online sheet of paper. It's nice to know that I have real tangible investments somewhere. And then I did once do my graded cards and collector's items that were of value, but these would not be something I could instantly sell for a lot of money. It would take some time to find a buyer. So I decided to stop counting these as value. So that altogether puts my assets for this month at $12,344, which is the lowest so far this year. Next, let's go down to my liabilities. All right, let's look at my debts. Let's be real transparent here. $15,000 in debts. $1,700 of that is short-term debts, with $1,500 in private loans, $71 and $70 in credit cards. Basically, credit cards paid off. Versus, look at last month, we had almost $4,000 in credit card debt right here. Now we are completely clear, which is really awesome. And long-term debts, the car that we share, we do owe $13,400 on it left. So we're getting that slowly paid down, but it is a decently sized car loan. And then no other liabilities besides that. So that is $15,000 in debt. So if we take $15,000 in debt and we subtract $12,000 in assets, we end up with negative $3,000, right about here, negative $2,800. And we're here on the chart, so not a bad spot. If we can continue to jump at this rate, it might only be till summer that we can hit positive net worth. But let's also look at this graph here. So this is another way of looking at my net worth. This is since January 2024, when I was almost $20,000 in debt because I had a very expensive sports car that I had to make the hard, tough decision to get rid of due to expensive repairs and things like that. But we can see that I've really crawled up since then. We entered a few months of kind of hitting stagnation, and then thankfully shot back up again towards the goals. In October, we were at negative 3K, and here we are at negative 2K, an all-time high in March. And then these are all just placeholders. So this black bar up here represents hitting positive net worth, breaking even. We're really close. We're teetering on that line, and we have an overall growth chart. Really excited to keep this momentum going. Lastly, I want to look at goals, right? I mentioned how I want to get a positive net worth by end of year, which I think is very achievable of a goal. And I have some more goals that are a little bit more far out. So let's take a look at those. So my overall financial goal for 2025 is to reach a positive net worth by the end of the year. Like I said, I think it's very doable, and I think we will hit this well before the goal cutoff time of December 31st. For debt goals, I really want to pay off that personal loan of almost $2,000. That would free about $260 a month up for savings or a variety of things. It would bring down my total amount spent on necessary expenses. I think I spent about 70% of my income on expenses. That would help bring that down, which would be really freeing. It'll just be a freeing feeling. It'll be a step in the right direction of debt free. So I really want to pay that off. That actually is currently on track to be paid off on September 1st, I believe. September 1st, 2025. So we're very close to paying that off. I could pay it off early, but I have a phenomenal interest rate on it, so I'm planning not to. But that's a goal. Eliminate that debt before the year is over, which we're on track for. Savings goals, I want to surpass $1,500 in my emergency fund by summertime. Now, this is assuming we don't have any emergencies from now to the end of the year. But I want to surpass $1,500 in the emergency fund by July. Right now I'm at $965. By next month I should be at $1,000. So I want to surpass $1,500 by the summer and hopefully surpass $2,000 by the end of the year. That's not super far out of a goal, but it would take some hard work. So hopefully we can get it to $2,000 by end of year. Freeing up that $260 month debt will really help with that. Investment goals. So right now I have $7,000 in my Roth IRA, right about $7,000 even. I would love to see that pass $8,000 by end of year. With my contributions only, that would put me at, I think, about $7,600 by year end. So that's assuming a lot of growth in the market this year. So I think it's possible, but also a little bit more of a harder to achieve goal. And then I want to pass $4,000 in my M1. I'm at $3,300, I believe, right now, and on track for about, again, I think about $3,400, $3,500 by end of year. So tie in some really good gains from the market, and we could get close to $4,000, I hope. Spending goals. I do have a spending goal. I want to be able to resist spending my personal money on random things. I give myself something like less than 10% of my income to spend on free things that I like. Right now, I think it's about $150 a month on free spending. That's from buying people meals, when we go out, new shirts, new clothes, things like that. That's all tied into there. Money going out on the weekends, about $150 a month right now. And I find that I blow through it on things that I like but don't necessarily love. And I do write down what I spend that money on. But I look back and I'm like, man, I spent $60 buying this lunch for somebody. It was a good lunch, but man, or man, I spent $30 on this shirt that was low quality and I stained already. So my goal this year is to try to let it build up, pull the trigger on that spending money a little less, and get it to a point where it has a couple $100 float where I can just splurge on things I really, really want and have been wanting for a while. It comes back to basic spending concepts that I learned as a child, which is, you get $1 from your mom for doing a chore or from your grandma or whatever, and you have the choice to either go buy a candy bar right then, or you could hold on to it for $5 and get a toy. So I have to have that patience and that self-discipline to let that save up a little bit so I can buy the things I really want. So those are my goals for 2025. We will record progress whenever I update this. I think I will make this a monthly video. We'll look at my net worth and finance goals each month to give me a new video concept idea to post regularly. So I'm really excited about that, guys. Thanks for tuning in, seeing where I'm at. Hopefully it gives you a perspective of kind of a normal young 20-year-old's life as far as finances go. And I also want to make it clear that I believe I have very little debt and a very high net worth for my age. I expect that if you guys went through school or something around my age, but you went through school, you have probably 10, 20, if not up to 60, $80,000 in debt more than I do. And again, it's not about where you're at, but it's about the trajectory where you're going, right? If you are at negative $300,000 in net worth, but you have a pattern growing, you are slowly getting out of that rut and consistently, that's what matters. It's like investing. $1 a day is better than none. So the consistency piece is where it matters. Don't die by comparison. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. It won't keep you here too much longer. Hit that like button down below, hit that sub button, and you guys have a really good night. Peace.